In XDefiant, rate of fire is key to winning most short-range gunfights. But is the muzzle booster and rapid fire barrel really increasing your fire rate like it says? Let's check it out. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and today we're going to be doing a quality check on the muzzle booster and the rapid fire barrel on one weapon from each class. So this video will be kind of a 2-for-1 special, since both of these attachments basically do the same things, and we can measure both the increased fire rate and the lost recoil control in the same test. So how this is going to work is I'm going to show you the base weapon with no attachments on the left, and then on the right you'll see it compared against the muzzle booster, then the rapid fire, and then for a bonus we'll compare it to the same gun with both of those so that we can also test to see if these attachments stack like they're supposed to. Then ultimately we'll answer the burning question of should you use either of them on any of your weapons, both of them, or neither of them. So first up we have the good old ACR, and something to note about the assault rifle class with these two attachments is that the recoil isn't affected on the surface, meaning the tests we're running, I'm not touching the right stick at all and I'm just letting the recoil do its thing. And we've discovered in the past that with all of the ARs, for some reason, the increased recoil from these attachments doesn't show up unless you're moving your right stick or your mouse if you're on mouse and keyboard to try to control the recoil. I do have a short about that explaining it. If you want to go check that out, you can, but trust me, the increased recoil happens when you move the right stick. But we're not going to see that here. So with the assault rifles, really all we're looking to test is the fire rate. So first up, we have the base ACR versus the ACR with a muzzle booster. And for the fire rate test, I'm just emptying the entire clip and the timer starts when the first bullet subtracts from the user interface at the bottom and stops when it hits 0. So based on the time we got with the base ACR, we should have gotten a result of 2.697 from the muzzle boosted ACR. And we see we got slightly better than that with a 2.683. And again, these aren't perfect tests, so we do leave a little room for error on these, and I would say that's in an acceptable range of what we should have got. If anything, it's better than that, so we definitely get a pass with this. The recoil for all these AR tests will be getting an NA based on what we talked about before. Now let's test the rapid fire barrel against the base ACR, and we can see we are again very close to what our expected result should be, so we'll give this one a pass as well, and keep that recoil section NA, and keep it moving onto the muzzle booster and rapid fire combo. Now the way these stack is the percentages of increase or decrease is taken from the base weapon and then added up. Or you can just add up the percentages and take that from the base stat of the weapon as well. So now that we know that, we should expect to see a result of 7.5% faster. So that would be 2.559, and we get very close with 2.566, so we'll give it a pass. And that concludes our assault rifle testing, and now we're going to be moving on to the SMG class, and for this we're going to use the P90, and these will also get to test the recoil patterns as well. So right off the bat we can see that the muzzle booster is slightly faster than what we were expecting it to be, which is a good thing and still in that acceptable range, so this one's a pass. Now let's take a good look at the recoil pattern of each of these on a graph, and I know it's a little hard to see, but the base P90 is green and the muzzle booster is purple. And we do see that the purple extends slightly higher than the green. In fact, the green goes up to 3.5 on the graph, and the purple is just under 4, so it's almost exactly 10%. And then it also moves to the right on the graph about 0.7, and we see the purple extends out to about 0.9-ish. So the recoil test on this will get a pass as well. Moving on to the rapid fire barrel, we see that again, it's very close and in range, and in the range where we're going to pass it. And already we're seeing a trend where the muzzle booster seems to be slightly faster than advertised, and the rapid fire seems slightly slower. But let's check our graph, and there's really no difference from the muzzle boost. So I'd say the rapid fire is only increasing this recoil by the same 10%. So this part of it I'm going to have to fail, even though it's a good thing for us. Up next we have our muzzle booster rapid fire combo on the P90, and this one is almost spot on to our expected result, so obviously it gets a pass. And because the recoil went off target on this, the graph won't be 100% accurate, so we're not going to use it, but I think it is safe to say that it's about 30% increased recoil over the base P90, so we'll give this one a pass as well. Moving over to the shotgun, and we're going to be using the M870 for this test, and we can see the base compared to the muzzle boost, again, is slightly faster than we expect it to be. But the strange thing here is there is no added recoil. We don't need to plot this on a graph to be able to see that. The recoil and spread are just unchanged here. So does it actually add any recoil? I think what's actually happening with this is the recoil recovery is kicking in faster than the shots are being fired, so the increased recoil isn't going to show up here. So we're going to pass it. Interested to see how the other attachments turn out, but up next we have our rapid fire barrel, and this time it shines through the trend that was set before and shows us that it is also slightly faster than our expectations. And I'm actually going to fail this one because it was way faster than it should be. And this will make more sense when we talk about the rapid fire muzzle boost combo in just a second. However, the recoil again hasn't moved, but we're still going to pass it based on what we talked about before. I guess it's not really a bad thing that there isn't any increased recoil, but let's go ahead and take a look at our muzzle booster and rapid fire combo. And here's where we find something interesting. The rate of fire time is the exact same as just having the rapid fire by itself. However, it's still faster than the expected time of having both of these on, which is part of the reason why I went back and failed the rapid fire barrel on the shotgun. So it seems that the M870 may have a capped fire rate, and equipping both of these will not make it any faster than just having the rapid fire by itself. But since it's very close and in the acceptable range, the fire rate will get a pass here for this, and the recoil again, also a pass. Now that we're about halfway through with our testing, now would be a great time to tell you all about our Discord, and I'm about to post mod applications at the end of this week. So if you want to help spruce up our Discord and make it better than it already is, I welcome you to join. Apply to be a mod if that's what you want to do. It's not a full-time job or anything, and I don't expect you to be on 24/7, but just have a base set of Discord skills, willingness to learn, and tolerance for everyone, and know how to react to things happening like rules being broken and stuff. Overall, it's a cool place to hang out. I've met some very different people with different hobbies and learned a lot already. So you should definitely come join us, but let's get back to our testing. LMGs are up next, and the M249 will be our test weapon. And since firing all 100 bullets out of this thing would take a crazy amount of time, as well as be almost impossible to map all of the recoil, we're going to stop the timer when we hit 30 bullets fired. Some may go past 30 bullets, but the timer does stop at 30. And if we're comparing the base firing 30 bullets to any test attachment weapon firing 30 as well, we should see that same percent increase, so this shouldn't throw the testing off at all. So the fire rate we see here is slightly faster than expected with the muzzle booster, but still within that acceptable range. So this one is a pass. And now for the recoil, I'm going to try a different test with this half of the video because the graph can be hard to see the difference. So no, your screen is not messing up. I've placed a yellow line just over top of the bullet mark of the base weapon and a blue line for the one with the attachment. This line goes over the highest bullet on the recoil pattern. And this is, I think, more of an exact science because the yellow line I can see is at 185 pixels on our y-axis and the blue line is at 204. And if there's a 10% increase, 10% of 185 is 18.5. Quick maths, then 185 plus 18.5 gives you 203.5 or 204 if we round up. So this one is dead on, and it is going to be a pass for the recoil as well. Onto our rapid fire barrel for the LMG, and very close to the expected result. So that's a pass, and placing our colored lines again, our yellow line is in the same place at 185 as it was before. And our blue line is now at 216 on the y-axis, meaning 20% on the 185. We should have seen it at 222. So this is slightly less recoil than we should have gotten, but still probably within our acceptable range. So we'll give this one a pass as well. And for our last LMG test, the muzzle booster and rapid fire barrel shows us the fire rate is stacking properly. So we'll pass that, but is it really 30% worse recoil? The blue line is now at 245 pixels on our y-axis, which is really close to the 241 that we were expecting to see with this. So we'll call it a pass. Now, something I want to point out with those first two is we only used these lines to test the vertical recoil, and that was because it seemed like the horizontal recoil was there visually, but since this should have the most variance, I want to flip the lines to test for horizontal here. But because of how we had the video set up, we have to do some more math, and the lines would be moving a lot, so I'm just going to leave them off the screen entirely as to not confuse you, and just go over the math that is behind it. The base y-axis on the left video, or the line that runs straight up and down in the middle of the target, is located at negative 1100 pixels. And the edge of the horizontal recoil on that goes as far out to negative 1133. On the right side, the y-axis is based at 1120, and the farthest left it goes is 1080, which means the base LMG moved a total of 33 pixels to the left, And the LMG with both attachments moved left a total of 40 pixels, so 30% of 33 would be 9.9. So the expectation would have been 43 pixels. And again, this isn't an exact science, but that's pretty close to the 40 that we got. So we're still going to say this passes, and presumably if they stack properly, they work individually as well. So let's go ahead and get into our Marksman rifles now. And our first test, we can see that the muzzle booster makes it fire slower, despite it still giving that visible 10% more recoil. So if you're someone who uses the Marksman rifles, specifically the MK20, you might want to stay away from the muzzle booster because it isn't doing what it says. In fact, it's making your gun worse, if anything. Curious to check out the rapid fire next, but the fire rate test for this is a fail and the recoil is a pass. So up next is our rapid fire barrel, and the interesting part here is that while it does fire faster, it's only firing 2.5% faster instead of 5. So it looks like the muzzle booster doesn't give you any rate of fire increase, and the rapid fire barrel only gives you what the muzzle booster would have given you, which is half of what the rapid fire actually gives you, all while still giving you that increased recoil. So again, fire rate is a fail, recoil is a pass. Seems like values must have got shifted in coding or something. But let's stack both of these together and see what we get. While it does shoot slightly faster, it's only 5.6% faster, not the 7.5% we should have gotten. And that 0.6 could be human error, so it seems like the muzzle booster might work only when stacked, but it's not giving the full 2.5% like it should. So recoil, pass, fire rate, big fail. And to clarify, for the single fire weapons like shotguns, the rifles, I used a rapid fire script to test, so I was able to eliminate the human error of possibly pulling the trigger too late so that there was no error on that end. The only human error I could have made here is picking the wrong frame, but even that wouldn't be off by that much. See, scripts aren't always bad, as they can help for testing purposes. Just don't use them in-game. Before we get to our snipers, which I have a feeling are going to be similar to the Marksman rifles, if you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing and check out the other videos on this playlist, where I go through and quality check all of the attachments as well as all of my other content in general. We're closing in pretty quick on 1,000 subs, and having your sub would mean a lot. But let's get back into those snipers. For this test, we're going to be using the TAC 50, and we see the muzzle booster does give it that increase in fire rate, so it's not like the Marksman rifles, but the recoil doesn't change, similar to the shotguns, which, again, I think it's because the time between shots is so long that the recoil recovery is kicking in before that next shot is fired. So we can go ahead and pass both of these here and move on to the rapid fire barrel. And actually almost spot on with this one when it came to our expectation. And again, recoil, same thing, but both of these are going to be a pass as well. And now on to our final test, the muzzle booster rapid fire combo. And our expected result was 7.03, and we got a 7.05. So I'd say that's pretty dang close. So that's going to be a pass, and then recoil, same old, give that one a pass as well. So that concludes all the testing now. So do each of these attachments pass our quality check? And I had a hard time distinguishing if they should pass or not. So the new stipulation that we're going to put into effect is that 80% is passing. And since the muzzle booster only failed 1 out of 12 tests, it's going to be a pass. But since the rapid fire failed 3 out of 12, that means it only gets a 75%, which means it's going to fail. And this is even counting all of the AR recoil as green and passing. And I only counted them as passing because technically they do work, because you're going to be trying to control your recoil about 99% of the time. So after seeing all of this data, your head is probably spinning and you're probably wondering, are they good or not? Well, like I always say at the end of these videos, it's all about how it feels in-game to you. These stats can only tell you half the story. But I would say don't put the muzzle booster on any Marksman rifles, as it seems to be broken, and the shotguns seem to have a capped fire rate, or at least the M870 does. So putting both of these attachments on the M870 is definitely going to be wasting an attachment slot. Other than that, they seem to work pretty well, and you'll probably get the most out of these on LMGs, but feel free to do your own testing with those. And even though my PC is brand new, I'm talking like not even a week old yet, and it's what I would consider top of the line, The editing software I use clearly doesn't agree because it's crashed like 8 times already, mostly whenever I try to save the work I've done. Thank God for backups. Maybe it's just the Ryzen 7 7800X3D processor that I have in this thing. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but if you're someone who's tech savvy and has an idea of why this keeps crashing on me, then please let me know. But if you made it this far in the video, comment crash and hit that thumbs up and turn that notification bell on so you never miss an upload, and I'll catch you in the next one.